Welcome back to another episode of Cluster Zero. Today we're going to be working on essential questionings and course planning. So send us in your tweets, let us know which grade level and cluster number you would like to see, because we're going to be making a cluster diagram live for you guys. So send us in those tweets and we'll be right back. Welcome back, guys, and the tweets are in. So we're going to pick tweet number 7, and Sutherland Science says grade 1, cluster 1, living things. That's the one.
That's a good one.
Okay, guys, so we've got our topic written up on the board. The first step of a cluster diagram is to sort your SLOs into categories that they connect with and ideas that are sort of similar, and so we're gonna do that live for you guys. So we've already got it started, and we've got our vocab right here that stays separately because it's sort of incorporated into all of the lessons. So that's off to the side. So we're just gonna start picking up SLOs and putting them where we think they should go. Here we
You
go.
wanna go first?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so SOL number 2, identify major parts of the human body and describe their functions. So I think that's a good place to start. Its own group right here. Awesome, okay. I'll go next. I have SLO number 3. Identify and describe common characteristics of humans and other animals they have observed. So I definitely think that this one is gonna be related to parts of the human body. If I may, I think that this might be something we're gonna cover before this one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just gonna put it here, but they're definitely related. So I'm gonna put a line, you know, the marker there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a line there. I just think that
I
we
definitely
should cover
see
this before
the
that.
connection there.
Yeah. All right.
So I got SLO number 4, human body variations, and it says identify and appreciate variations that make each human unique. So I think this is definitely comes after or with parts of the human body. So I'm going to connect those two. Go for it, Cynthia.
All right, so for SLO 5, different forms of plants, and here we are going to recognize that plants as living things come in different forms. I think I need a little help on this. So what would do you guys think that it would kind
I
of
think
create its
that-
own category, or we can contribute
I think it would
to
be part of
characters of living things?
characteristics. I
Yeah,
think
for
so.
sure, but separate from parts of the human body. So I think it would be its own
It would-
tail off of character.
Branch,
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you.
All right, so SLO number 6 says here, observe and identify similarities in life processes between themselves and other living things. Okay, so I think this one might be something separate. I think I'm gonna put it off to the side. We might move it in later once we start to introduce other SLOs, but for now I can't really see it connecting with these as much. It's pretty open, so I'm gonna put it over on this side here. And like the great thing about cluster diagrams is nothing's set in stone and you can totally move it around as soon as you have a bigger picture and whatnot.
Awesome. So my new one is SLO number 7, and it's needs of living things. So it says recognize that plants, animals, and humans as living things have particular needs. So I actually would think that this would be its own category, needs of living things, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I think that life processes are sort of a piece of needs of living things. I think
Okay.
that would come off that. Do you guys think so?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start, because every living thing is going to have its essentials before it forms life processes.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. But I mean, we could always turn that around.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right, so next we have caring for living things, and this SLO.
Yeah.
SLO. Describe what is needed to care for a pet, a farm animal, or an indoor plant. In this case, I definitely think it's gonna go into this area here.
Yeah, totally.
Would you guys agree that it kind of branches off life processes, or
I think just needs of living things.
needs of living things?
Yeah, I definitely think so as well.
Okay.
Okay, so I am going to do SLO number 9. Compare ways in which humans and other animals meet their needs. So definitely meeting the needs is going to have something to do with needs of living things. I think those, it's just a given that those are going to go together. But would you say it would be separate, like a separate branch off, or do you think we should connect it to one of these? What do you guys have opinions on those? Where I put it?
I would say off of needs of living things.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so we'll do that here. So this one looks like we have just a bunch like that. Okay.
Awesome. So the next one is needs in the environment, SLO number 10. So describe how humans and other living things depend on their environment to meet their needs. I would say this probably goes off of the meeting needs one.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about meeting their needs through the environment, so I'd say probably that one.
Yeah.
You guys think so?
I would definitely agree on that.
Awesome. All right, next I have here, draw an environment that meets needs. Design a representation of an environment that meets the needs of a Manitoba animal. That's cute. All right. So I would say that it kind of comes off of meeting needs and then needs in the environment.
I would say so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And then
And I think it's a cool activity that the kids are going to be able to do. It's more hands-on, so it will be like an extension of their learning of the previous SLO. Alright, so I'm going to take SLO number 12 here. Identify hobbies and jobs that require knowledge of the needs of living things. So, I think it does relate to the needs of living things, but I think that I might start my own separate branch for that. I don't know if you guys are gonna agree with that.
I think it totally could, or it could be off of caring for living things.
That's also true. So I will put it here, and I think I'm gonna draw 2 lines, and then maybe with other SLOs, it'll answer our question of which one, or we can keep it attached to both.
okay, that's a great idea.
I'm gonna put 2 lines here like this. Oh, right.
Okay, the next one is healthy environment. Develop, implement, and evaluate personal and group action plans that contribute to a healthy environment for themselves and for other living things. Ooh, so healthy environment. Maybe off of draw an environment that meets needs, or do we think needs of the environment off that one maybe?
Well, do you guys think that that's something that we should introduce before we have them draw an environment?
Yes.
So you think maybe it's a stepping stone before we do the activity?
So do you think I should erase this line and draw it off of this one?
That's what I think would make more sense, so they have more knowledge on the subject.
Okay. How's that look?
I think that looks great.
Awesome.
All right, and then next we have respect for environment. Show respect for living things in their immediate environment.
Tough.
I almost feel like it could relate to healthy environments and needs in the environment.
Can you read the SLO again?
Yeah, it's respect for environment.
Okay.
And here, show respect for living things in their immediate environment. Because we would definitely need to take care of any living things environment in order to meet needs and create a healthy one.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I'll stick that somewhere here. And maybe we can attach these together and then branch this over here.
Looks good. Okay, so this is the last SLO of the cluster. It says, SLO number 15, recognize that some information they receive about living things is not scientific in nature. This is an interesting SLO. really sure if I would connect it to anything. I definitely think it would be an important subject to touch on, but I'm not sure if I see anything exactly that it would relate to. What about you guys?
I would maybe say put that one in the jobs and hobbies one in their own category together.
Okay. Do you have a reasoning for that?
Well, I think that if you're dealing with jobs and hobbies, it like those go beyond just scientists, right? And you're using science information, and it's like all the information that you get about living things and this type of stuff. It can be used in other fields than science, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So erasing this line.
Yeah.
Okay. And just because we're erasing the line doesn't mean that it doesn't relate at all. Like,
Yeah,
we can totally tie all things in. I think that this is a pretty good place to start. Is there anything you guys think we should move around? Anything we should question a little bit?
The only thing I could see really changing is maybe this is a pretty big, broad grouping, so I'd say maybe take all of the environment things out and make a separate category for them and just have the needs SLOs in that category.
Okay, so where would we cut it? Here?
I think just take out maybe needs in the environment. I put that there. If this is just me, and then respect for environment, healthy environment, and then this one here. And I think that I would first go to this one, and then I think all three of these branch off of needs in the environment, like that. What do you guys think?
I really like that idea because it provides more categories and kind of declutters a certain branch.
Yeah.
And definitely we would probably approach this one before approaching that.
I think so, yeah.
It would be a good like tie-in and a transition, but it definitely does deserve to be its own separate cluster. So I'm just gonna draw some lines just so for those at home watching, if they can see the dividing here where we're splitting this up. So we're splitting it into 4 sectors. And now the next step that we're gonna do is looking at each 4 sectors, we're gonna look for an essential question that kind of sums up and is a good assessment tool for us to make sure we've met the needs for our students and we're actually teaching them what our goal is for them to learn. So we're gonna try to focus on how and why questions. Just this is grade 1, and we're gonna find essential questions for each one that will kind of base our lessons and further.
That everything's gonna
Plan
tie
it
back
out.
into, yeah.
I think one important thing to keep in mind when coming up with a question is just to know that it's pretty open-ended, like there's just not one right answer, and it's just to allow your students to come up
Definitely.
with multiple answers.
Mhm.
to respond
Totally.
to the question.
And more than just a one-worded answer, like not a yes or no or true or false, like an explanation and like a broad question that they could do like a piece of writing on or something like that if that was something that you planned for them to do.
Definitely.
Okay, so looking at this, can we want to start us off with an essential question?
What about maybe for environment? How does environment meet living things means?
I like that, but just changing the words on maybe, how does environment impact the needs of living things?
Yeah.
Is that
I
something?
think that's a good question.
All right, there you are, you can write that one down. Alrighty. Cynthia?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe characteristics of living things and maybe coming up with a question involving why.
Okay. So why,
Why is it important to know different characteristics on different living things?
sorry.
The characteristics of different living things?
Why is it important to know the characteristics of living things? Yeah, I think that's good.
Oh, sorry, this one here.
What do you think, Christine? Good?
Yeah. Just looking at this one here, like the needs of living things. We're going to be talking about meeting their needs, caring for them, life processes, and that type of thing. So I think maybe a question that we could ask the students is, how do we meet the needs of different living things? Because obviously there's different needs for plants and animals and people. So I think a good question would be, how do we reach those needs, like responsibility-wise more?
I think that's a really good one. These are great questions, guys. Okay, one more. This one is a bit tricky, and if it was me teaching this unit, personally my classroom, I would really spend a lot of time focusing on these 3 categories, and I think that I'd make sure that was the bulk of my unit, and these are things that I might sort of try and touch on, or maybe do a quick lesson on the 2 of these, but I don't think I would spend a great deal of time focusing on those ones. I don't think they're necessarily the most important SLOs in the cluster.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe like what we're gonna do with the vocab is that we're gonna be mixing it in, like integrating it into all the different lessons. You know, we're gonna go through things. Oh, there's a vocab word. You know, mix it in. So I think, especially for jobs and hobbies, like that's something that we're talking about needs of living things. Maybe when we're talking about like a veterinarian for an animal, that's a job or a hobby. So we can integrate it, and it can be something that is like vocab and kind of spread throughout our lessons, and adding it in as facts rather than an SLO that we're trying to do a full lesson on. It can just be integrated in.
Definitely.
So I think that would be maybe a good idea to fulfill the SLO, but not have it as just like a singular lesson.
I think so too. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So any thoughts on the SL 15 though, the not all info is scientific? Would we integrate that, or any ideas, or would we just leave it out completely?
I think that's like a big thing to sort of touch on throughout the entire year, is that not all the information you're learning is just science-based. It's everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cluster 0 question, you know, something that we're going to add in
Yeah.
to all of the clusters and really make sure the students understand that process. All right, guys. Well, thank you for participating online through Twitter and watching us do our cluster diagram. I hope that helps for future teachers, or just teachers now that are struggling on how to approach a lesson, and it's always scary just to see the SLO, so this is one way to break it up that we like to use. It's called backwards design.